Okay, so thanks for joining me today, Mr.
Uh,
Simmons.
Not a problem.
So I have a few questions about micro collection.
Yeah, you do. And I printed out your messages, so your questions,
Yep.
and then I proceed. Oh, here they are. And I was so I'd have them in my hands.
Yeah, I did that too, and I have your book here so we can refer to certain photos and things like that as well.
Oh, that's cheating. I haven't got those up.
Oh yeah, I'm very low tech. I have to hold a book up on the screen. I can't like send you the image. I
That's
am
all right. That's
not a
okay.
tech guy. When this is over, what I'm planning on doing is transcribing this and
Mhm.
posting it as a script of the actual interview portion as opposed to this stuff because I can't
Okay.
video edit it very well. Um, and then I'll post it on Facebook groups with a link to the new Kickstarter while
You
there's
go.
still a few days left to hopefully get more buzz about that. The
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi images are really the only ones I remember from childhood because I was born in 1981. Um, I was very into the micro collection, but it was scarce. It was hard to find by the time I was 5 years old. It was if you could find it in dusty discount bins, that was it, and you were lucky. And there wasn't much of it around because it was the star-crossed Star Wars line. It didn't
It
do
didn't.
too well.
They didn't fund it well. I don't think.
No.
I think that was part of it. They had too many irons in the fire, and I think
Yeah.
that just kind of lost out.
Yeah, and it was oddly, the hype from Empire Strikes Back was over, and the hype from Return of the Jedi wasn't beginning,
Yeah.
and so it was the wrong time in the decade to release it. But yeah, I guess we'll just start on this. So you've worked on all sorts of Star Wars projects prior, but you said that you were really liked the micro line. Is there any particular reason why you liked it, or it just stuck out as different, or?
It's just something that I thought was just, you've seen those big dioramas where they had, the Civil War dioramas,
Yep.
and the figures were really close to that. And I don't know, they always, that just line just, it just struck me as something that was really, really cool. I don't care about posing and stuff like that, but the figures, those things, those didn't bother me, but I just liked them. I don't know what it is. It just,
Yeah, I was the same way. We had every 3.75 inch figure known to science, but when I found my first micro set, it was just that was it for
done.
from then on. That was
Yeah.
my interest. Yeah, and you're right. There's a quality to them about like the big model train layouts or the big museum dioramas and things like that. That's really fun.
Yeah.
Um, they also really remind me of the really big old. You don't see them anymore, but there would be the big boxed, uh, you know, Battle of Gettysburg playset or big
Yeah.
farm playset or something from Marks and companies like that. That would be just these huge, things. Any idea why they went with metal figures instead of plastic? No.
It was probably just cheaper, and they could probably get I don't know if it's cheaper. I mean, may be wrong there. It probably was a kickback to that. I don't know why, but that was probably was a more of a kickback to where, those figures.
Britain's toy soldiers and things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm just guessing there.
Yeah. Um, Now, when you were doing your photographs, did you photograph early production pieces, or were you getting prototypes and hand painted resin
Oh,
squeezings and things like that?
a lot of times they were definitely the hand painted, and they'd be the prototype stuff.
So they weren't metal; they were the resin and things
Sometimes
like that.
it was very rare that sometimes they were metal and sometimes they were the plastic pieces.
Okay, so if somebody gets one of the plastic pieces, they might have the one that was photographed for the package art. Then
It's possible.
possible.
They didn't
Yeah,
make just one. They would
yeah,
make,
yeah.
you know,
But it could be. It could be the one.
it's always a
Okay.
possibility there.
And then I also had a question about the four ups, the big pre-production pieces. Did you ever use these in any of your photographs?
No,
No. Okay.
no, never would use any of those. That would just never.
Because there's these photographs on the package art that are, just the rogues gallery of what figures come in that particular set. So I wondered if just easier to light them or something, if painted four ups would make
Well,
sense for that.
that when I was doing the lineups. of all the figures. I had an assembly line. I remember Roy walking in because I'd get to the studio before he would,
Yep.
and I literally had 7 sets running, and he and I was going from one to the next to the next to the next to the next to the next. And I was writing everything down, the bellows lengths, the lens I was using, whatever, because I would just pick a camera up and move it if I didn't have enough. We didn't have enough cameras for that many.
Yeah.
And he walks into the room, into the studio part, and he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm doing all these sets. They need these." And he said, "How are you keeping track of everything?" I said, "Well, I just wrote it down. I've got my bellows length, the lens, and everything right here, and I just go." He just shook his head, walked to his office, never saw him the rest of the day. He left me alone.
Yeah.
I did my thing.
So were you given any kind of direction from Kenner, what order they wanted the figures or how they wanted the play sets posed, or were you just given rein to make that up?
I think it was I don't remember exactly. They gave me a space they had, and they gave me the circle, the burst.
Okay.
They said, this is the burst, this is the size that we need, and give me a lineup. That's all, that's pretty much it. When I had some of my first lineups were just like really too long because I was giving a little too much space in between. And then that was why leaving the sets up. But they'd come in, they say, "Oh, well, Kim, this is the space we've got." I go, "Well, why didn't you give me that the first time around?"
Yeah.
They'd kind of skip that because they'd be moving too fast too, and that's how they do it. And there's sometimes they'd go, "Oh no, I really don't like that," or "This guy's shooting that guy in the head," or "You're shooting his crotch. You can't," whatever. It would be,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, okay, yeah." I'm just trying to get them in this space
Right.
they give me, and then I'd get it from here. I had to bring it down to here.
What was the hardest one to shoot? Was there any particular thing that stands out as a difficult playset to shoot with the micro line or anything like that?
If I remember right, I think it was one of the Hoth worlds, or it was a Hoth world, where there were just so many figures that went with that. It was just a little more difficult. That's all.
Yeah. And did you use the same fake snow for Hoth World that you used with 3.75 inch?
Were they what now?
Did you use the same fake snow for your micro
Oh
Hoth
yeah.
setups that you did for
Yeah.
your
Oh yeah.
3.75? So anybody who backed the last Kickstarter enough to get a bag of Hoth snow potentially has some flakes that were in the micro Hoth World as well. That's good for
was
them.
funny. What's kind of funny is that my wife would, we went through, was down the basement here, just looking for the snow, because I knew we had it for the book. And she found some. I said, "Okay, this is it." Okay, because we had it before, because I'd given some to the guys. We had a raffle here for the Oswald people, and she lost it. Well, here it is after the book is done. I mean, we had it, found it for the Return of the Empire Strikes Back book, and she goes back and looking, and she finds even more snow. She was looking for the sand that I used, which I definitely used. I found it for my Rancor monster. I used some of that sand.
That's one of my favorite boxes. The Rancor was huge for me as a kid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I loved that box art. I want to get the Return of the Jedi book just for the Rancor pictures alone. Did any of that sand or snow make it into other toy lines, not Star Wars?
No.
No. Okay.
No. I don't believe so. Let's see what I have used them for. No, I had for that Ricochet. I used leaves. I didn't use sand, snow. No, don't believe so. No.
Oh, okay. Okay. What do you have any favorites that stand out from the micro line? Anything that you hung on to afterwards because it was just too cool to not keep one, or anything that?
Yeah. Well, the only thing I kept, believe it or not, is the Bacta Station and the torture chamber. I had those up until about 2000.
Those are good ones to keep if you had them.
I had them.
Yeah, those would be.
I was sweet talked out of them.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, eventually the money would be pretty competitive.
It no, it's like, why am I keeping these?
Oh, okay, yeah. You
It's
just needed
why
to
am I
find him another good home to go to.
well, and then I didn't know what they were really worth, and now I think the Bakhtas up in the like 5 figures. It's like 30,000.
Oh,
Trust me, I
if you
got.
could, if one would even move, I think.
Oh
Yeah,
no, that's the
yeah.
one that I know. Mine is what I'm
Oh, okay.
talking about. One
Oh,
I
okay.
had.
So
I think
so
they
you
they
saw it
value.
sell for the. Oh, okay. Wow.
I know what it's worth. Yeah, they've
Oh,
told me
okay.
now. Okay. Yeah, Gus Lopez has. I think he's got the Bakhta station, and the torture chamber is in a black hole someplace.
Oh, okay. So you have a display of all 93 of the Kenner figures behind you when you're doing your shoots for the Kickstarter and things. You also have one for the micro figures in that room, don't you?
Not up right. It's not totally up. I haven't got it. I've got them in different areas, but yes,
Okay.
that we reorganized the studio. There was a studio, and I'm building a cabinet for those so that I can do that. But I've got little display cases that I built for like the different the Hoth set. There, I've got them sitting there in the snow that I had. It's kind of cool. I mean, you've seen it when I did the walkthrough. You ever
Yeah.
see those?
And they have you had somebody was selling cases that had a backdrop made of the
Yes,
lineups from the
yes.
side boxes. Was that you?
I didn't sell the boxes. I had the images. I created some images for him to be able to,
Oh, okay.
if he was to say, hey, we could do this, is what you could put behind it.
And do you still sell those images on your website or no?
No, they're not on the website, but it turned out to be a bomb for him.
Oh, okay.
But if somebody calls up or emails me and says, hey, Kim, that background, can I still get? Sure, I can do that. I've got them. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
I've got the files. I don't throw files away.
No. Why? Yeah, no.
They take up just a little bit of space.
So I guess to wrap it up, I guess just a question is some of these can be pretty hard to photograph, and now with everything there is in Facebook groups and internet forums and everything else, people want to show off their collections. Do you have any tips for people on photographing really small sets, micro or similar type things?
Well,
The challenges are different than it is with bigger scale items.
oh yeah. Well, the thing is today is with digital, you don't have to compete with grain, whereas the grain of the film, because the digital is so fine. They've got to be careful. It's the same thing. It's the same thing as with the larger stuff. You've got to be careful not letting your shadows get too dark. You want shadows, so it is kind of tricky. To me, looking back on them, it's like, wow, some of the when I'm shooting the figures by themselves, it's like, wow, there's really no other way to do it other than line them up and hit them with some light, because whatever you're doing over here is going to reflect the next guy. It's going to have something on the next guy. So you've got to be, when you've got a lineup, it's really kind of difficult. But when you're doing one figure, you could just the same basic lighting techniques where you'd light on basically one side, maybe a little backlight, and maybe use reflector card on the other side to just fill in, just kiss the light on the other side. It's that's just one figure, but if you've got to be careful about that. It's really difficult I do this intuitively. I always did. It's something that's what one of my friends said. They loved when we shared space. He loved following me because we might be shooting something similar. I would do the Star Wars stuff and he would be doing something, something else, but it would be in similar lighting. And he didn't have to do a whole lot because it was like he just set his stuff in there. I just did it. And it's something I look at and I can see it. So I do it up here in my head before I even start. and then I adjust when I need to. But it's more you know what you want when you see it, and people go in there and they just think, oh, you got to just punch some light on it and take a picture of it. Well, that isn't quite what you do. You have to play with that light. You have to experiment. And with today's world, with what you've got available out there, you can do so much. The constant velocity, constant lights instead of strobe. Of course, I used both back then. I'd go from one to the next, go back and forth through hot lights to, which now they've got LED lights, but or other, I'd just have to go from one direction to the other direction. So I had to encompass it all and just do it. I could do it fairly simply, but at the same time, sometimes it's like, oh God, that's awful flat, and it's like, I got to do that again. Kim, we need it now. Well, you got to wait a minute. I got to, it's just the way it works. You're not going to like what I'm going to give you if I see that. If you see that, it's not going to work, but it will. Yeah. Give me a couple of minutes here. You just, it is what it is.
Well, and that's the difference between a good photographer and a bad photographer is the joke. A good photographer takes 10 pictures and shows you 2 pictures, and a bad photographer takes 10 pictures and shows you 10 pictures.
Yeah.
That's not.
Or goes to the client and says, is this good enough?
Yeah.
That irritates.
So, one last thing that wasn't planned, but I have to ask, is that an airbrushed Cloud City background behind you?
It is not the original. It is it's from the file.
Okay.
It's from the file, the image that we shot, copied, I should say. But originally that was the airbrushed. I think I might have reversed that one. I don't know. I played with it because I was doing some things.
Okay, and what all toy boxes did that was used in? Micro, 3 3/4, or both?
I think that was used in 3 3/4, I believe.
Oh, okay.
I don't think we ever used that. I don't think it was ever used. Was it?
Probably not. I mean, I could always look. I got the micro book open here, but I don't. It didn't look like the micro one to me, which is the only reason I asked.
No.
All right. Well, thank you very much for sitting down to answer some questions today, and we will all appreciate the information. So
anytime.
Well, thank you very much. Have a great day.
You too now. Bye-bye.